Hello, my name is Anne DeSantis. I'm the director for the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. I want to tell you what's been going on with us since we've been in existence in 2015. The Mercedarian Friars came together and decided that they wanted to start a foundation to make outreach to families in crisis. And that's exactly what they did when the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation came into existence as a nonprofit 501c3 headquartered in Philadelphia. Since that time, I became the director in the beginning of 2018, and we basically have four facets to what we do. We offer prayer, priestly consultations, podcasts and videos, and also programs and events. Now, if you've never been to our website, just to invite you to go to nonatus.org and check out all the great things that we've been doing. Because since that time, since we've been in existence, we've now helped hundreds of families who are going through really challenging times. And as you all know, we went through a really challenging time in 2020. So I'd just like to invite you to go and check out the great things that we're doing. And there's more to come. If you or your church community would like us to come and do some type of an event where we can talk about what we offer in terms of that pastoral accompaniment and making outreach to families in crisis, please do reach out to us. And I'm just so grateful to be able to serve people like you and your families. So again, learn about us at nonatus.org. Thank you.
Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry present Journeys in Faith. Now, here's Anne DeSantis.
Hello and welcome to Journeys in Faith here on Fiat Ministry Network. This is Anne DeSantis here on this holiest of days, Good Friday. It's wonderful to be here with you on this evening. And I'm really honored because I am with the president of the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith, Mickey Kelly. Mickey, thank you for joining us on this Good Friday on Journeys.
Thank you for having me, Anne.
Yes, this is an exciting evening. This is kind of a recap. We've been doing our Mercedarian Friar series over the last several weeks during Lent. Every week we've been featuring one of the Mercedarian Friars, which are the founders of the foundation that you and I both represent at nonatus.org, where we help families in crisis. So grateful to have you here on this show. And I thought, because the name of our show is Journeys in Faith, I thought that for some of our viewers who don't know your faith journey, I'd love for you to share how you became closer to Christ and that your Catholic faith is the most important thing in your life. So please do share with us.
Well, and I have to be honest, I would say it's a long road for me, for my faith journey. Of course, as you mentioned in the introduction, that I work with you with the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. I really have to say that I came to awakening when I got involved with the young adult scene. And there was through like the example of many young adults that I really wanted to take my faith a little serious. And even though I was at junior college, there was the culture. It was like very hostile, even though there were some Christians there, but I wanted to make sure I don't compromise my Catholic upbringing, just to become become Paul Martin Luther on my fellow Catholics or anything. So I think what really helped me nourish is that there were times that like I've met some examples of great people. It was through Catholic Underground. It was through young adult events that I really was able to find a way to lay the groundwork to get involved in my faith on a serious level. And I did. And I really kept the faith. And it was also too, like, as a member of like the Knights of Columbus as well, that I've learned from some of the guys in the council. They go to daily mass, and Father Donald Calloway will refer to them as the novena clique, so to speak. So to be like the ones that'll be like praying every day, and like when I first heard that term, I was just like, I was hilarious, So when I heard it, I was like, I didn't realize they had a technical term for that. But it was through them that they also plant the seeds for me to live out my faith, and the example of my fellow young adults, even some great priests that I've came to know over the years, and it led me to where I am today.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story, because I myself know that the young adult groups have made an impact on you, because I started seeing you around at some of the different events in the Philadelphia area and was blessed to meet you. And I never knew at that time when we first met, when you met my husband and I, that lo and behold, that years later you'd be the president of this foundation that I represent, which is the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. I thought maybe if you would, can you go back a little bit further? Because I know that when you were a child, you had some adversities. And of course, this foundation that we represent has to do with families in crisis, those families that have gone through some kind of adversity. And I know that when you were, I believe at the age of 10 years old, your parents had divorced, but somehow, some way, God got you through some difficult times, and your family. And you still all have faith. And so that's really a blessing to hear. Tell us a little bit about what happened and how God got you through those times as a young child.
Well, one of the things that really got me through it, and is that I'll be honest, I held on to faith. And it was very hard for me to let it go. Because like, if you hold on, the way I see it is that if you hold on to your faith, no matter what is thrown at you, no matter how hard the going goes, and if you always, fall back to it, it'll be hard for you to lose it. One of the things that I would say that when I was 10 years old, I let my older siblings really get the best of me when they would pick on me and things like that. It so happens to this day anyway. But like you said, yes, my parents did divorce, and I took it the hardest. Even though my sister, I think she took it just as hard as I did. And I felt like, my parents were not going to be together anymore. I was looking to see my dad, even though he was a few blocks away living with my grandparents at the time. And I just felt like I needed someone or people to lean on. And I leaned on my paternal grandfather, because before he died, he went to mass every day for Lent. And I was just like struck by I kind of think of it as a Hail Mary pass in football, like when you're like the final seconds. And I was just like, I don't know what happened after that, after he did that, but he always went to mass every Sunday. He went to mass, of course, every day during Lent, which I was like, whoa. And my mom reminded me about this, and I was just like, wow. And I always wondered, what did he offered during that mass? I mean, that's probably in God's hand, or maybe revealed to me sooner or later. But I looked at him. And then I also looked at the same people, the novena clique, from time to time, and even my parish deacon. Like he got me through, but they all did. They helped me. Their prayers really got me through some of the most tumultuous challenges that I ever endured from since 10 years old. And I also at the time too, I was during that period too, I was also losing like family members left and right, including my paternal grandfather I just mentioned a moment ago. And there were times like I was like withdraw myself from school and everything. You know, I was like my grades were like I was like I would be average, but I would play imposter. I would be kind of like say like I'll play kind of like a Forrest Gump, so to speak, you know, with like the way I was acting and things like that. And then there were times that like I went through like a period of depression, and it got to the point where I thought of ending my life. But I'm still here, still standing.
I love your faith journey. And admittedly, I've heard it before because you've been a good friend to both me and my family, and so grateful for your friendship. And thank you for sharing again your faith journey. And on that note, I would say you mentioned that you did think about the possibility of ending your own life. There might be somebody watching here on this evening, here we are on Good Friday evening, who's feeling some kind of despair. Would you be able to offer them some hope in terms of our faith, of why that they should hold on?
If you were in your life now, you would pass on the hurt and the pain to others. I remember I went to funerals of a couple of people I grew up with. One died of a drug overdose, and he was 20 years old. And him and I, we played baseball together. And there was this other kid. We were all down. The three of us, we were down Florida together for a travel exhibition in Orlando. And I think what really got to me is like, I was like, I'm the type of person likes to take in my surroundings. And I remember just seeing people like they were, you know, very teary. They were very distraught over, you know, this sudden loss when we all could have grown old together and, you know, just, you know, reminisce about the good times, you know, laugh, smile and things like that. But things like that are now becoming a distant memory, you know, with them gone. But if I were to say something right now to someone that might be contemplating, just know that you're needed in this world. And you're loved most importantly by God the Father. He created you for a reason, and he wants you to be his faithful witness, no matter how hard the going gets.
What a beautiful testimony for this Good Friday evening. And I want to expand on that because when we come back from our commercial break, I want to talk to all of you about the meaning of this beautiful evening, the meaning of this beautiful day, and the Triduum that we're in right now, which was Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and of course, the most important of days, Easter Sunday. And so we'll be right back. Stay tuned here on Journeys in Faith. We'll be here in just a few minutes. Welcome back to Journeys in Faith. Thanks for joining us on this Friday evening, this Good Friday evening on Fiat Ministry Network for Journeys in Faith. And with me is Mickey Kelly, the president of the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, and also a good friend of mine and my family's, admittedly. And so right before the commercial break, we were talking about Mickey's faith journey, and he was sharing a lot of personal insights. So Mickey, I didn't know if you wanted to share with us, you're a person of very deep faith. This Good Friday evening, what kind of reflections could you share to our audience about the meaning of the death of Christ, the passion, death, resurrection, and ascension of Jesus Christ?
And I really have to say that people, I think there's, well, of course, you and I are guilty of this because we love Christmas more than we love Easter. But I always, one of my favorite quotes is actually from Venerable Fulton J. Sheen. And he reminds us that without a Good Friday, there is no Easter. If you think about it for a moment, Fulton Sheen had some wise words to say about the whole, about those wise words. Because let's face it, we are coming to the end of our Lenten journey. Technically it ends on Holy Thursday. However, you are encouraged to stick it out until Easter, which most of us do anyway. So, but I'm not going to judge anyway. So if you stop on Holy Thursday, but to get straight to it, what we see here is that, Jesus, he fulfills everything that the prophets have foretold. He fulfilled the promise he made to everyone. He laid down his life for us because because of his unconditional love. He also died to redeem us, to even, for our salvation's sake. One thing that I really enjoy about Good Friday is that the past few years, I go pray outside of Planned Parenthood in Center City. That's been the subject of a scandal years ago with a state rep. And there would be a group of us, maybe about 200 to 300 people that would gather outside. And most of these, some of them are like high school or college students. And what we do is we gather, we pray for at least an hour. As Jesus said, the night before his death, can you now watch for 1 hour? And I think that's something we can take away from this. And I'll get to that later on, but we pray. And then afterwards, the young people would carry these wooden crosses, and they're made of real wood, by the way. So it's not like it's nothing artificial. It's like, this is a real deal. And they go around the city, and this is called Mission Youth, by the way. And they're present all across the country. They're run by the Legionnaires of Christ, and this is like an order of priests. And the main thing they do is with these crosses is that it's kind of like a faithful witness, number one. And two, they go around and collect intentions from people that are, going about the hustle and bustle of today, and asking like, hi, would you like us to pray for you? And everything will go from, employment to family members who are sick, to even if then like the person themselves are sick. Sometimes you just never know who you encounter. And when Jesus hung on that cross, he didn't just die for sinners. He died for people that were going to suffer, like you and I am. Because you suffered yourself for quite some time, with your parents' divorce, and some of the things you had with, your own, family issues. And of course, I have family issues myself. But the main purpose of Jesus' passion, death, resurrection was to redeem the whole world. And every time we go to a Stations of the Cross service, and every time the stations announce, we are also respond, by your holy cross, you have redeemed the world. And if you have not been to a Stations of the Cross, I would encourage you to go. It's probably your last best chance to do it. But before Vatican II, actually, there used to be a Stations of the Cross every Friday. And also every Friday, you were supposed to give up meat. So yeah, we do need to bring the old school rules back for sure in order for us to live out our faith instead of this whole mediocrity. But the one thing I really enjoy the fact is that, again, despite the mockery, the buffets, the spitting, the jeers and the punches that were thrown at him, the one thing you ever notice is that Jesus doesn't retaliate. He doesn't respond back. None of that. Instead, he just took it on. He just turned the other cheek and he just kept going. And honestly, I think it's in this day and age, it's easy for us to be like, someone like, cuts you off like on the middle of the highway and like you just want to like do the same thing and like, point the God at them. But I think really what we have to understand is that in that silence, we have to redeem souls that are trapped in purgatory. I mean, I have been guilty of this from time to time, like when someone tries to like, try to turn me off with like their jeers or whatever, and I just like to jeer back or everything, when I should offer that moment of silence, to remember someone that's like trapped in purgatory or someone that is in need of prayers. So that's something we really have to really, take hold, because I know like some people don't have a thick, not everyone has a thick skin these days, but it's what it is. But it's a good practice though, especially on our faith journey.
Thank you so much for all of those reflections. It's so much to think about. I think this program might be worth watching again, because what Mickey just said is very wise words, especially not just for this time of Good Friday and into the Triduum, but always, because we need to hold on to our faith all the time. We need to practice our faith. And so thank you so much for sharing on that. Now, I wondered if you could share, because you and I are both in a mission together, and this is a whole recap of the Mercedarian friars that were on this show over the last 6 or 7 weeks. And so grateful. I want to make a special shout out to the Mercedarian order. And so if you want to learn more, if someone is watching and they want to learn more about who are the Mercedarian friars in this religious order, just go to their website. It's orderofmercy.org. And I just encourage you to do so. Mickey, I wondered if you could share with our audience, because you and I have done a lot of podcasting for 2 different areas of crisis. One of them are for those affected by divorce and separation. In fact, I want to invite our audience here to go to our YouTube channel at Philly Nonatus and subscribe so you can watch special series that Mickey and I have done together for the divorce, and also ones that we've done for families in crisis. And I just want to reiterate to our audience here, as far as crisis, those people may be those affected by divorce. They could be people who have lost a job, lost a loved one, someone who is sick with cancer or some other ailment, any type of health or emotional, psychological issues. So we're there for you. And you can make a special appointment with us. The Mercedarian friars are available for pastoral appointments through the St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation. Just go to our website at nonatus.org and make your appointment. It's all free because we are a Catholic 501c3 nonprofit. So we hope we hear from you. Mickey, I wondered if you could share with our audience a little bit about the work you and I have done with our podcasting and some of those topics that we've talked about.
Sure, Anne. I would say that, with our work together for the past couple of years, I honestly think that we have really, hit the ground running with, getting our presence known. And it's not just like, through the online platform, but we have done, conferences such as the recent Man Up Philly conference, and well, not just Man Up Philly, but we also did Man Up South Jersey also last fall. And we are not done yet. As a matter of fact, I think we're looking at a couple of events going down the road to say, there's a family event happening at Cardinal O'Hara High School later in a couple of weeks from now. And then I think we also discussed the annual Abbey Fest, which will be taking place, but that's in the fall. But there's nothing wrong with looking ahead anyway. And then maybe in between, we could squeeze in like a maybe say like some kind of fundraising campaign for the foundation, maybe to coincide with the feast day of St. Raymond Nonatus. But that information will be available once everything is all set in stone. But like I just want to reiterate what Anne said, and we just want to encourage everyone who's listening to this, please, keep us in mind, just to paraphrase Mother Angelica, keep us in mind when in between your utilities and your utilities and all the other expenses. So we could really appreciate all that. And most of us should probably get our tax refund by now. So maybe we want to make good use of some of it. I mean, we'll save some money for gas if you're be traveling, of course, by car. But bottom line, our work would not be possible without your support, spiritually, financially.
Thank you for sharing. It's also true. It's been a pleasure to work with you on some of the events that you talked about, both online and in person. Of course, we're located in the Philadelphia area. We do a lot of work there, but we would love to expand outside of this whole tri-state area. And so, Mickey, thanks for bringing up some of those areas. I do want to mention that we have planned an online telethon this summer. So please do keep an eye right here where you're watching at St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation Facebook page, Fiat Ministry Network, Patchwork Heart Ministry, because if it weren't for those two other ministries that I just mentioned, we wouldn't be who we are today. We are so thankful to Fiat Ministry Network for producing this show, Journeys in Faith, and also Patchwork Heart Ministry, Bill Snyder, my own co-host for the Sowing Hope podcast. So I just thank all of them, which would be Kent Kolhosky, Jennifer Sinclair, Bill Snyder. And I want to thank also the board of directors for our St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation. We have a wonderful board of directors right now, board of 10. And I thank them for being a part of this mission. There's one last group I'd like to thank, of course, in addition to our Mercedarian friars, our founders, who have done so much to keep us going here and keep us afloat. And I thank them for being a part of this series. I want to thank the Catholic Foundation of Greater Philadelphia, who we are now partnering with. And so we're really excited about that. If you haven't done so before, please do look them up online. The Catholic Foundation of Greater Philadelphia, otherwise known as CFGP. And so we're so grateful to them. Mickey, did you have any final words about this beautiful day of Good Friday and what it means to our audience?
The one thing I really have to encourage people to do is take this, well, we're entering a period of silence until the Easter. So there's like that. And let's face it, there's actually scholars also saying that there's a 40-hour period between Christ's death to his resurrection. And it's similar to, you had 40 days, in the ark, you had 40 years wandering the desert, once the people were freed. Jesus, fasted and prayed for 40 days in the desert. Woo, 40, my goodness. And we're just getting started, my fellow Catholics. So, yeah. But also we have the 40 hours devotion too. And some parishes will be doing that usually towards the end of the year, of course, from between All Saints Day to the beginning of Advent, typically speaking. But I do like to encourage people during that 40-hour period between your Good Friday service and of course the Easter Vigil or Easter Sunday, take that time and use that as an opportunity to pray. Pray an extra rosary, pray an extra Divine Mercy Chaplet, whatever floats your boat, and offer it for those who are in need of prayers, especially, we're hearing about what's going on in Ukraine, and there's also the 5 babies that were found in Washington. Then many activists are demanding justice for the 5 to get an autopsy to find out what the official cause of death. And there's no question in my mind that is actually homicide, in my opinion. And it's not a blob of tissue; it's a human being. So we do have to pray for God to redeem the whole world by His holy cross, and we too must do our part to fulfill, Christ's commandments, works of mercy, prayers, holy hours, whatever it takes to heal the souls who have fallen away. And let's face it, many Catholics who have fallen away from the church, and most of their excuses are inexcusable. There's no excuse to run away from the Catholic Church. I understand you're frustrated. I understand that. But you know what? Let me tell you something. The Catholic Church has done a lot more than many of these charismatic Protestant churches, more than you ever realized. And I also like to say to those of you who like to go to church just on Christmas and Easter, come home. Come home to the one holy Catholic and apostolic faith. It will change your life. And after Easter, commit to going to Mass every given Sunday. It's good for the soul. And to the fathers in the family, be role models, be leaders in your household. Lead your children. If they see you reading the Bible, they will pick up that habit. If they see you genuflect before you enter the pew in church, they will follow you. If the power of man will speak volumes for the children. And if the fathers are pouring out good habits, those children will be willing to mitigate those habits themselves. So don't be afraid to set an example to your children. Men, man up. And of course, to our clergy, do not teach mediocrity from the pulpit. Rather, uphold your vocation as a priest and start saving souls. Do not appease people that want to see this, want to see the whole woke ideology in the churches. There's no room for wokeism in the church, not even the liturgy. You have a job to save souls, and that's your first and foremost priority. And when Jesus hung on that cross, he thought of all those priests that were going to represent his church, priests, bishops, cardinals, and all the future popes that were to come after St. Peter. So, fellow Catholics, are we ready to step up our game? And are we ready to step into the breach?
Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for being the president of the St. Raymond Donatus Foundation. And I wish you, Mickey, and your family a blessed Easter. And to everyone watching this show right now, thank you for joining us on this Good Friday. I think that Mickey's advice for all of you on this Triduum is very important. Take the time to pray. And I wish all of you the most wonderful Easter celebration of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Mickey, thank you for being our guest on this evening.
And thank you so much for having me. And don't forget, fellow Catholics, we have 50 days of celebration ahead of us starting on Easter. So say Happy Easter 50 days straight. Annoy a few people if you want to.
Amen. And we'll see all of you next week here on Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis on Fiat Ministry Network. God bless.
Journeys of Faith is a production of Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry. For more information about Journeys of Faith, email info@fiatministrynetwork.tv. And be sure to friend, follow, and like us on social media. Just search Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis.